Good morning, good evening, good night, wherever you are. Today we're looking at everything you need to know about text in Canva. We're going to look at how to add text. We're going to look at some Canva text effects. We're going to look at text animations. We're going to have a couple of text hacks that I've included in there for you. And also at the end, I've got a really special surprise for you. So do make sure you stick around. But let's dive into Canva and have a look. For those of you that are new here, my name's Darren Meredith and I'm a Canva certified creative. I'm also a Canva creator, which means I create templates on Canva directly. I'll put a link to all of the templates that I discuss and also some of the different bits in this tutorial. I'll put links down below, so do make sure you check those out. Also down there's a 45-day free trial of Canva, so if you're not a Canva Pro member, you can try out some of these pro features that I'm going to be talking about today, but also there's a lot of free features that you'll be able to use, but that's all down there in the description for you to check out. So text, you might think, right, well, all I need to do to add text is just come along, click on the T on the side of the keyboard here, and just to wind it back there a second, all of this is just a blank template. I'm just using the Facebook kind of template size just to be able to show you and demonstrate this. However, you can use this in any of the features available or on any of the templates available in Canva. Now, when you come over, you'll see down the side here, you'll have a T for text. If you don't see this, just click on the More button down here, and then you'll have another option that comes up here. You can see you've got styles, audio, and all sorts of different things. So if it's not there on the menu, you can just choose it from the top. I'm just going to scroll up to the top here. And then all you do to add the text is to click on either heading, subheading, or a little bit of body. And as you click on each of those, you'll see it just adds the heading on there, or the subheading or the body. You can also just press the T on the keyboard. So if you've got your canvas selected, you can just press T on the keyboard and it adds paragraph text. So that's where it just adds on there, just the text from the paragraph. And all of these here, so the heading, subheading, and a little bit of body text are all predefined in your brand kit. Now, I have done a separate video on brand kits, and if you've not seen that, I'll put a link up here and down in the description below about brand kits. If you're a Canva Pro member, you do now have access to multiple brand kits, which is absolutely fantastic. You can see it here. I've got this is my Better Content Creators, which is my main site, and I've got different brand kits here, but we're not talking about brand kits today. That's a link down in the description if you want to go and watch that video after you've watched this one. So back to text. What else can we do in text? Well, once we've added some text onto a design, you might want to align that text differently. So once you've highlighted the box, so I'm just highlighting this box here, and then we're just going to click on the alignment. Now, by default, everything aligns to the left. Had to think about that there for a second, but everything aligns to the left. And you can see when you've got multiple lines here, you can then just keep clicking this and it'll align to the center, it'll align to the right, and then it'll justify it, so it'll kind of like spread it out so that each side is kind of straight. So each side, you'll see it kind of just lines up with that bit here, and it adds extra spaces in here between your words. Not a massive fan of that. Personally, I just prefer to align everything to the right or to the left, depending on my design that I'm going to go with. And this is going to help you when you start creating different text, because if you're aligning to the center and you've got different text boxes, you might find it sometimes difficult to align your text. But if you align just to the right or to the left, then it's fantastic, and you can just do that. Next is what we call letter kerning, or as a version of letter kerning, and that's the space between the letters and also the line heights as well. Now, you change this by clicking on this one here, and you can see it says spacing. So when you click on spacing, I'm just going to click and drag this. As you move it to the right, it'll change the spacing between the letters. So this is really good if you've got something where you want to kind of like add that little bit of extra space between the letters. Do be careful, because if you have too wide a spacing between your letters, it can become difficult to read. And likewise, if you've got a font that's maybe a script, changing the spacing between the letters can sometimes not quite look correct. So do use that sparingly. The other thing where you can go is you can also smush up your letters a little bit. Now obviously if you do it all the way down to -200 you can't really read there, but you might want to just, it might be that little bit that you want to change it, and then that will help your design, you know, kind of just fit right. And if you're using the same text, you want to make sure that you have a very similar look to each of your text areas. You don't want it to look too big. Like you wouldn't really want to have kind of like wide lettering on one part of a design and then narrow lettering on another part of the design. That just wouldn't look right. So I'm just going to put that back to 0 or close to 0. Oops. And the next thing is line spacing. That's also under the spacing effect here, and that's the, if you've got multiple lines of text, it's the space between the bottom, or the bottom of the letter here and the top of the letter here. Oops. So I'll just undo that and come back to spacing. So you'll see you can spread them out to 2.5 lines, and you can also slightly overlap it by coming down to -5. The default is on line spacing when you first start typing on most fonts is 1.4, and you can see that 1.4, I'll just change that to 1.4, type it in. You can type in the boxes here as well, so you can make sure you can get the same. You don't have to just drag the slider and hope it's about the same. But most texts, when you start typing in Canva, it'll start off as 1.4. I tend to go for around about 1.2 or thereabouts, depending on the design and what I'm typing in there. It just helps it look a little bit neater, I think. Next, you'll see in the same box and in spacing, you've got anchor text box. So this is a way that you will help if you're creating templates or something like that, it'll help your text be anchored at a certain level. So you can see on the lines here, if you think of the line as the ceiling, if you like, so you can't go above that line, you can't go above the ceiling. So if you click on the first one here, and I've put this line in here just so you can see how this works. You can see as I start typing, oops, I don't want to do that, Grammarly, no. As I start typing, anchoring text, that will move down as I type. So you can see it's gone down like you would on a word processor or anything else like that. That's just exactly how this works. And then if I just delete that, anchoring text, if I then just highlight that box again and I chose the center one, now what this is going to do is it's going to move, as I add more lines, it's going to go up and down equally. Anchoring text, that moves out from the middle. So where it was originally, the middle of that is gone up and down. So the second line, it'll kind of like move up half a line up and half a line down. So, and I can't spell from. That's 3 times I've spelled that word wrong today whilst I was putting together this tutorial. Dyslexic fingers. So that's moving out from the center, and likewise, oops. The other option there, the third and final option in the text anchoring box, is if you imagine the line is the floor, or you're building up the text from the floor going upwards. So again, if I click on that, so if I just move this line down, and you'll see it's nothing to do with this line. You don't need that line there for this to happen. This is just to give you a visual of how this works. Anchoring text from the bottom, oops, up. Words. So you can see there that that's the text, and it's moving up from that line upwards. It's really helpful when you're putting together designs that just need your text to move in the right direction. Are you still with me? I hope you're still with me and you're finding this really useful. Don't forget to click like and subscribe down below, because we've got a lot more coming up, so do stay around. Next thing what we're going to talk about is I want to talk about text flow within a shape. So say you've added some text and you've added a box. This is just a box from the elements, and it's just a shape that I've picked up, just the square here, and I've put it around the square there. So, and I've made this black just so you can see it around the shape and around the text. Now what we need to do in order for this to work, there's a couple of things you need to do. You need to add your text and then add your box. Now you see this light blue line around the text here as I hover over it. Now your box for your shape needs to go outside of that on both the top, the bottom, the left and the right. If it doesn't cover all areas of that, then it will not flow correctly. And what I mean by flow is when we're going to type in this box now, as I type in this box, you'll see the text starts coming outside of the box. And there's one thing we need to do first. In order for this text to flow correctly, we need to highlight both the box and the text. We come up to group, and once we've grouped the text, we can then start typing text flow in a shape where the box expands. So there you go, the box is expanding with the text. So as you keep typing in there, you can type more text, and as you keep typing the more and more text, it will just keep expanding. And again, if you this one is expanding downwards, and the reason for that is that it's because I'm anchoring the text this way. If you change it to the middle, like we were explaining before about the anchoring the text, the box will also move up and down, both up and down. If you move it from the bottom, it'll move the box just upwards. So that's really helpful when you're creating a design and you want the box to flow, or if you found a design or a template on Canva and you've typed in extra text and you're thinking like, well, I want the box to look correctly and it's not quite doing it, that'll be why. Couple of other tips around this. So I'm just going to ungroup this. Couple of other tips around this is when you see and put your text box inside the box, you'll see that these pink lines come up here just in the middle, and you see that means that it's centering inside the box both vertically and horizontally. Now if you want, when you come in, if you just put it in like this and it's just not aligned correctly, highlight both the text box and the shape, come up to position, and if you click middle and center, it's going to make sure that the box or whatever's in the background stays there, and it will center align in both the middle and the center the text box, so it's perfectly in the middle, and that means that you get the same space around the edge of the text box. Fantastic little tip there. Okay, predefined styles. Now these are in Canva. There's a lot of different text effects that you can add and animations, and we're going to come on to text animations and some other text effects later on. However, if you click on the T button here at the side, you'll notice that there are some already predefined text styles, and you might think, well, I like this, I like the design, I want a kind of like a blocky effect, or this pressed start, or the happy hour, or what else have we got? Thanks for the love. Let's go thanks for the love. That's a hint. Click on the like button down below, show me some love. Really appreciate it, and I really appreciate you watching this video so far. And as I say, do stick around to the end because I've got a really great little trick that I want to show you, but I'm saving that for the last bit of the video. Okay, so we want to say thanks for the love, but we don't want to say thanks for the love, we want to change it. So all you do is you click on it, and you'll see on these predefined ones the text is grouped. If you wanted to move it a little bit different, you just come over and you can just click ungroup, and you can then spread that out. So you might want to just put that in the center again. If you highlight those, position, center and middle, or the top, there you go, it just comes up there. And you can overtype this as well, or you can just say thanks love. Oops, pressing all the wrong keys here. Thanks love. So you can just change the text on any of these. The same as this one, you can change it from retro. This one was down here somewhere. Where was it? There you go. It was retro down there. So I might want to say that as 1984. Oops, not 1084. 1984 I want. So it's kind of like looks a little bit more retro, that era, and it's got different text effects. Now if you want to have a look at how the text effects are working and how they've got those different text effects, all you do is highlight the text, come up to effects, and you'll see in here that this is the glitch effect, and it's offset by 91, and it's a direction of 64, and they've used the color of the light blue and the pink. And you can change it if you wanted to. So if you wanted the light blue and the red, you could change that. You can alter it so you can have it all different directions, and you can have it offset more or less. You just come in and change that however you want. Really great little tip there for you. Okay, so that's predefined text. You can see you've got another glitch effect there, and it'll change you, so you'll see what kind of font they're using and the effects that they've gone for. So they've gone for a green neon, and it's actually the font that's kind of got this kind of like glitch looking effect. So you could then choose that and say, well, I don't want a glitch effect, or I don't want it to be neon. You just come in and change it to none, and that's how it will show on there. So have a look, have a play about with those. Next, we've got letter frames. Now, if you come over to Elements, and I'm just going to clear that, you'll see if you scroll down, you've got frames. Now, you might have used frames. There's a lot of like standard frames here. You've got your square, your kind of cauliflower kind of like looking effect, and you've got your film frames and your torn kind of effects. Now, it used to be that there used to be kind of like about half a dozen or so different frames in here, but what there is now, if you keep scrolling, there's letters, and you think, well, you know, they're just standard kind of like sans serif kind of like fonts, but this one's got a serif. You see these little kind of like little bits at the end of the letters, and you just keep scrolling, and you scroll some more, and then when you've done some scrolling, you can scroll some more, and you can see now that there's a lot more frames in here. Now, if you keep scrolling, you might have got bored by this point. I don't think I've actually scrolled to the bottom of this so far, but as you scroll down, you'll see there's more fonts. There's different fonts. Now you can see these ones have got little sans serifs on there, and I've just chosen the word sun. So I just put those on all onto the up side here. It was actually this one that I've chosen, this font. So I've just chosen the word sun. And then what you can then do is you can create a really neat effect like this. So how I've done this, and I'm going to show you exactly how I've done it. How I've done this is I've come over to Photos, and I typed in the word sun, and I ended up coming up with a sunflower image. So I just click on that to get that onto the page, and then I'm just going to put replace background. Now where I've got replace background, that's then in the background, and I'm just going to come up to here, and I'm going to adjust this, and I want to bring the brightness down, and I want to bring my contrast down a little bit, just to kind of like make that disappear into the background, because I want the letters to pop. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back to my photos. Oops. And I'm going to add another photo on there, and as I drag it over the actual frame, that's when it will then populate inside the frame. So you can see here, if I'm just around the frame, it's not going to do it. My actual arrow key has to go inside the frame, and then I'm going to do another one. I'm going to do it inside the frame. Now you'll see with these, with where I've put that in there, it doesn't quite match up. What I need to do now is I need to double click on the frame, and I need to drag the actual edge out to make sure it's the same size as the background. So now you see the top and the bottom is the same size, and now I just drag it over, and you can see where it's coming up around the petals here that it's the same size. So you can see there it's the same size. And what I want to do here is I want to make this a little bit brighter. I want it to be, because I want that word sun to pop out. I'm going to increase the contrast a little bit, and I'm over exaggerating a little bit here just so you can see it on your screen. And again, if you come to the U, I'm going to drag that out to be over this edge here. Oops. And drag that. And again, just come over, and I'm just going to line this up briefly, and we're going to come on to how to paste that same size or same color effect onto that in a moment. So I'm just going to drag that over the N. Just drag that over the edge, and again just drag that over, and it's around about there. Now if we come back where we've made this sun and we did the adjustment there, if you come up to the copy style, you can then just copy it from that one and then hover over the U and it will change it. It's now done exactly the same, and again copy and then go over there, and it's changed the word sun, and it's got the same text effect. So if you look at the adjust button here, it's 28 and 39, 28 and 39, 28 and 39 under here, and that's just by doing this copy style. And you can do that on anything. So if for anything I wanted to, so say I wanted this 1984 in this love effect, I can just come over copy style 1984, boom, and that's exactly how you'll change it. So what it does when it's copying the style over is it's copying over the font and the font effect and also the size of the font. So it's copying this, the color, and all the effects. It's copying everything, and the text animation as well. So you see it's got the text animation on here. Now, so that's how you can use letter frames, and also by using the copy style. I'm just going to click undo on that, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to share this as a template, so you can come in and have a look at this, and I'll put a link to that down below in the description. So do make sure you check out the links down below in the description, because you'll be able to access this as a template and save a version for yourself and have a look. So you'll be able to have a look and see how I've actually built these up. So I'm just going to click undo on this. So you've got the blank one there, and then you've got the done one there. So as I say, do check out the links down below. Next, what we've got, page 6. Wow, we're steaming along here. Next, we've got predetermined or predefined texts. So like we had with the different text styles, if we scroll down, come on, load. If we scroll down, you've got other different font combinations here that someone in Canva has put together for us, and it's absolutely fantastic. I absolutely love this because it allows us to have a look. So we can see here we've got that font, and we've got different fonts, and they're the experts on this as well, because you know they know what font combinations go well together and look well together. So we've got a sans serif and a serif, so we don't want to kind of like overcomplicate the, so this is a sans serif font, so it doesn't have the little bits on the edge, whereas this is more of a, you know, this one's got the little bits on there. And then, so you know, there's different things here, that different fonts and things like that you might think, well, that's the font that I want, but I don't want it to say that. Previously, a lot of people that I've spoken to think that these are just kind of like, well, I don't want Parmesan cheese. I like the font, but I don't want Parmesan cheese. They thought it was just kind of like an element that couldn't be updated. But no, these can all be updated. So I could just say that to say cheddar cheese. And if you think cheddar cheese is the best cheese, you're right. Cheddar cheese is one of my favourite cheeses. I love cheese. Do you like cheese? Let me know down below in the comments what your favourite cheese is before I go on to this next effect. Go on. Go on. Let me know your favourite cheese. So now we're looking at text effects. What this is I've just put on here different text, and I've named each of these. There's actually 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different text effects, and you come over and you see that this is where they are. So oops, I'm just going to command option and drag that one over. I'm just going to come over to effect and none. So you can see you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. One of them's none effect, and we've also got curved text. I forgot to add curved text on this menu here, so there you go. We'll add that one onto there. So on here you'll see you've got shadow, lift, hollow text, splice text. Now splice text, if you want text that's outline, you would use splice text and you'd change the offset to 0. And you can see there that then gives your text effects an outline text. If you want a full tutorial on outline text, I'll put a link up there and also down in the description below, because I have done other text effects before, including some animation text effects, but we're going to cover off everything in this tutorial. So what we've got is we can change the thickness of that, and you think, well, you know, that doesn't look too great, and you'll be right. So what we do is we copy and paste that. Did that copy and paste over the top? No, it didn't. Copy, paste, change it, and choose none, and then just change that to that, and there you go. That's how you can get a better looking outline text, is just by having the other one in the background, which kind of like helps expand it, and put the normal non-effect text effect over the top. Really great looking text effect. And I'm going to leave those two here so you can play about with those. As I say, the link's down below to this tutorial template. Next, we've got echo, and you can choose the offset, so you can choose how far it'll go, and also the direction, so you can determine which way the direction might be coming effect from. You've also got glitch, which is either the light blue and pink or the light blue and red, and you just click on that, and again you can change the offset and the direction, and it's just changes the direction. And then you've got neon. Now neon looks best if the background is black. So this is the neon effect, and you can change how intense that is, either to be not very text, but it kind of like makes it like a little bit fuzzy, and you know, it will depend on the actual font that you're using. And if you go back to your actual text up here, you can see you've got some different neon texts and different fonts that work really well. So I highly recommend you using those as a base and changing the wording, because it'll help you. Okay, so that's all the different text effects. I did show you the curved text, so you can curve it 100% one way or minus 100%. That's how that will work. Really great when they added that. It's a fairly new feature. It's only added this year, I think. Okay, next we're looking at text animations. So we're going to come over to this first one, and it's block, and you can see how that works. Next we're going to come to Typewriter, and this puts in like one word at a time. Ascend text, and then you've got bounce text. Really like that bounce text. You've got burst, so it comes out here. Roll text, you'll see it kind of comes out like that, and then shift comes out, kind of just like floats down from the top. Skate text, this is another one of my favorites. Really good text effect. Then you've got breathe, and that's just going to fade on and slowly get bigger. Really good for kind of like your yoga templates and things like that. Fade text, again, it's a bit like breathe, only it doesn't get bigger, it'll just stay the one size. Pan, you'll see it pans in from the side, pans in from the left hand side, and then pans off as well. Okay, so that's the pan text. Rise text, and that's going to come in and rise, and then tumble kind of just comes in, kind of like it's a little bit like the scrapbook effect, only not quite the same. And then you've got 7 pro text animations. First one is drift, and you'll see that just kind of like drifts and just keeps drifting. Really like that one. Stomp kind of just comes poof. Really like that. It gives a really good impact kind of feel into it. So that's stomp. Tectonic, I think, is very similar to drift. You can see there now I've got them both going side by side. However, Tectonic seems to fade off. So if I just click that again, you'll see it then just fades off, whereas Drift Text just stops. Okay, so there's a slight subtle difference between those two. Baseline comes up from the bottom. Pop Text, so it just kind of like pops on. It's just kind of like almost like bounces on, and you can see as you hover over these as well, it does. I really like this neon text, and I'm going to put a link down below to a little video that I've done on Canva. So a little template that I've done on Canva using the text and neon effect. So it uses the typing effect and the neon effect to create almost like a neon sign kind of type feel to it. So as I say, I'll put a link down below to that. And then the final one is Stomp or Scrapbook, sorry, not Stomp. It's because it's come on there. Scrapbook text. So I'm going to come over to animate, and that's the scrapbook. So it kind of just jiggles on. Now, if you're still with me, I really appreciate you being with me so long. What I'm going to show you now is how you can combine some of those different effects to create this effect here. Now what we've got is we've got a picture of a person that shows around the text here, so it kind of like shows a cut through kind of like effect. Okay, so let's add a page, and let's go to our photos. We're going to come to our photos here, and I'm going to duplicate that. So I want two versions of this on the screen. I'm going to replace the background with that one, and on this one I'm going to come up to effects, and I'm going to do the background remover. Now the reason for this is we're going to actually have multiple layers. Now this is a really great text hack, if you like, and if you've not watched my other videos on my other Canva hacks, I'll put links down below to all of those, and they'll be in the playlists also. Now what I want to do is I want to make this the same size, so I'm just going to drag that out to the top, and you can see, oops, not quite there. I'm just going to use my arrow key to line that up a little bit better. So there you go. You're thinking, right, well, what do I need to do with the text now? Right, well, let's just add a heading. Here is some text, and I'm going to make this all uppercase, and I'm going to create a copy and paste that. Now what I want to do is I want to move this text, I want to move it backwards, because I want it to be behind our hero image here. So I'm going to also change the color of this. So I'm going to change it to this light color. And then this one, we're going to come up to text effects. We're going to use hollow, and I'm going to use a bright pink color. And then when we do that over the top, you'll see it creates this kind of like cut through effect. And I really like this because you don't have to obviously have the text here. Oops. You can just move the text down wherever you want, and however you move the text around will be, because you've got, basically what you've got is you've got behind the image, you've got the full text, then you've got the image, and then on top of that you've got the hollow text. There you go. That's a great little tip on how you can combine different text effects, different kind of like layers, and to make it look like your image is kind of like sandwiched in between the text. So that's really, hopefully that's really helpful. Really appreciate you sticking around for this long. If you stuck around for this long, do make sure you click like, click subscribe. I've got plenty more tutorials on the way. As I say, my name's Darren. I am a Canva certified creative. Check out all the links down below in the description. Down there's also the 45-day free trial to Canva Pro. And until next time, thank you very much, and bye for now. You'll find me losing, set me